Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is the last day of the month of March, 31st of March it is. And in this educational video we will have a look at various markets and this is an educational video. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended doing this. If you do trade on something I say here, remember that you can lose more than you actually invested if you are trading leverage products. But again, this is for educational purposes only to show you how I read the market from a technical analysis point of view. And I will start with the semiconductor index, or the ETF, the SOXX iShares semiconductor ETF. Got hit hard Friday, 3.5% lower. After a bit of a correction the previous week. We can see here on the weekly it formed this diamond-like pattern here, top and reversal pattern, broke barriers out of it, and could now drop to around 177, 175 level, where we have the 200 moving average, the weekly 200 moving average coming up, and will give some support. But negative sentiment on the RSI on weekly, negative sentiment on the daily is pointing to lower levels in the coming days and weeks. We could even drop below 175. It is not the strongest support, but it is fairly strong. But there could be in the near future be lower levels towards 150. But 175 area should be noted and observed to see what's going on there. S&P 500 also got hit hard for Friday, almost 2% lower, took out the minor support here, 5,597. Resumed bearish trends, did it all already Thursday and Wednesday. Negative sentiment on the daily RSI has resumed. On the weekly chart we can see here, well, it got up to 5,000, just below 5,800. We can see it here. Formed this top and reversal pattern. We had a doji there. We had a bullish candle there and a bearish one. So top and reversal pattern, evening doji star. So we are in for a rough ride. I believe in the next few weeks we could see it to 5,400, possibly all the way down to 5,200, 5,100 level, where there's some stronger support. Negative sentiment also on the weekly RSI pointing to lower levels. Here pre-market we are down about 0.5%, so it looks fairly heavy. Also Nasdaq 100 took out the minor support there at 19,397. Downtrend has resumed. Negative sentiment on the RSI is still in play. We are back below 40 threshold on the weekly. Also negative sentiment. We are likely to see 18,400 level, possibly all the way down to around 17,000 in this region here. I think that we will see some bounce before then, because we had 100 moving average coming up here just below or just around 18,000. Will give it a little bit support, but it seems like we're destined for definitely lower levels. Pre-market we are down 0.8%, and let's remove this one. We can see the sell-off is continuing, and the Dow Jones index did hold itself above the minor support here at 41,412, but it is likely to be broken. Negative sentiment on the RSI and back below 40 threshold. So, but it's firing a little bit better than the other indices, but still to the heavy side. And I think we'll see lower levels also towards 40,000 on Dow Jones. European also turned sour. We have the EuroStoxx50 closing lower Friday. Excuse me. 5,285 here, support area on the EuroStoxx50. RSI still positive sentiment, but we could see it close below 40 threshold maybe later today, because pre-market we are down about 1%, and we can see that the CFD slash future excuse me, is opening lower and below the support of 5,313, pushing lower, and I think we'll see it pushing lower here in the coming days and weeks. We could see it sell off down to around 5,200, 5,120. The DAX index has gapped lower there, did it already Thursday, following through Friday, and I think we'll see a push towards the support here around 22,148 here pre-market. We are actually below that, and there's some support here on the CFD/future at 22,115. I think we will see a push down to around 21,800. So it looks fairly heavy if we just jump back to the actual index. It could bounce off here, but it is doubtful. The key will be, will it close above or below 22,148? We have the 55 moving average giving some support and the rising trend line here. So there is some support in this region here. Let's see where it ends today. Euro dollar has bounced from its 38.2 retracement at 102.27, just a few cents above it, and the 200 moving average, and is likely to push higher and could get back to the 109.50 area. And what I will do, just because it will give some energy to the next move higher. So where are we? If we add Fibonacci, we are taking about 50% back and could push higher. If it takes out 109.55, well, then there's potential higher towards 111. Looking at the weekly chart, we can see what's going on. Really, it is the 200 moving average that is coming down here, weekly moving average, that it's kind of an inflection point here, that it will be struggling a little bit. So there will be some fighting going on around the 109 and a half level, but it seems like we are pushing up there. If it takes out the lows here from last week at 107.30, well, then we will see a downtrend towards 105.80 level. The sterling dollar trading sideways in this range here between 128.60 with a bullish undertone. And looking at the weekly chart, we can see we are in a bullish trend, but it is stalling a little bit. Zooming in again on the daily, there is still room up to 130 and a half if it takes out the peak up here. And let's just add a little horizontal line so better can see it. If it takes out 130.15, well, then I think we will see a push higher above 131. The euro sterling is still in correction phase, dipped to the 61.8 retracement at 83.20, and then bounced, trying to bounce further. If it gets back above, and let's just also add I think if we get back above 83.90, then uptrend is likely to resume towards 84.50, 84.60 level. Dollar yen got rejected spot on the 151 and a quarter resistance, and the 38.2 retracement got rejected there. Friday, selling further this morning, and it could go below the 148.65 support, turning around. And let's just do also add Fibonacci to this, because then you can see where we are actually moving to. We are taking back about 50% of this uptrend already. I think we'll see no later than at the end of the day at the 61.8 retracement, 148.30, possibly lower, but we are pushing lower here in the coming days and weeks. All moving average declining. We see 55 moving average very close to breaking below the 200 moving average, and it will probably do that tomorrow or Wednesday, and that will be another sign of a downtrend. It is actually a death cross when they're both falling there. Then we have euro yen still holding on above 161 level, but I think we will slide lower here in the coming days and weeks. But there's a little bit battle going on. I would actually add a horizontal line, also say, okay, if it takes out 160.70, well, then I think we'll see a sell-off lower towards 159, 158. The Aussie yen couldn't get above this peak here, so the uptrend was not established, and expect lower levels. We can see RSI still in a negative sentiment, failed to close above 60 threshold on a couple of occasions. If it moves back below 40 threshold, and if it takes out the lows here at 93.14, so 93.10, always subtract a little bit, then I think we'll see a sell-off down below 92 again. Sterling yen Sterling yen has been a little bit frustrating. I mean, we were in this uptrend here, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and so on. Got above the resistance at just around 194.80, 85, but has failed to follow through. And if it starts pushing below, and let's also add a horizontal line here, if it starts pushing below 192, then I think we will see downtrend to resume. There is some support here with the rising trend line, so it could be caught up in that. And also the 55 moving average will add some sort of support here. So it's a little bit hard to read sometimes, but the downtrend could resume on sterling yen. Aussie dollar is testing lower rising trend line there. If we see a break below, and especially a close below this level here around 62.50 and the lower part of the cloud area, then a downtrend has been established, and it will be confirmed if RSI closes below 40 threshold, which I believe it will do if we push below the 62.5, and then we have lower levels to look at. There will be some support just below 62, just around 61.80, but we could see it then dropping all the way back to 61. The dollar Canada in this slightly negative but sideways range. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, didn't close below 40 threshold, so there's still potential for it to resume uptrend, and it's still trading above the 100 moving average. So if it starts moving back above 144, and let's just also add here, when we say if it takes out 144, then I think we'll see a push up to 145.5. If it takes out the lows here from last week at 142.35, well, then we are looking at 144, 141 level. Sterling Canada bounced off the support and the 38.2 retracement here at 183.5, pushing higher, and I think we will see it getting up to the 61.8 retracement and 186.15, possibly up to the 786, but I think actually it will turn higher in the coming days and weeks, and also possibly take out the peak here. For it to resume downtrend, then it needs to take out the lows here from last week at 183.45. EURUSD bouncing off the minor support actually at 94.90, and could crawl higher. If it takes out 94.90, well, then we are looking at levels around 94. But I think it will bounce towards the 96 level here in the coming week here, especially if we get the RSI back above the 60 threshold, then we could see that bounce. Dollar Swiss is sliding lower again, likely to test the lows here just around 87.55. I think it will take them out eventually, and then we're looking at 87.30. Possibly lower. To establish a bullish trend, it needs to get back above 88.65. The dollar index also turned bearish again after the last week's sell-off towards the end of the last week. Didn't even get up to the 38.2 retracement, and we could now see it pushing lower. And if it takes out 102.83, but then we are looking at levels around 102, possibly lower. Gold is pushing higher, really bullish here towards the end of the week, further through this week. And what we can see now is that RSI has broken above its falling trend line and is being tested currently at the previous peak back here. So if it moves back above that and closes above 78.17, then it has cancelled this divergence, and I actually think it will do that, meaning there's much higher levels in store for gold. And if we're looking at the monthly, we can also see what's going on. We had this cup with a handle, and it is pushing higher, and already reached this the first target here at 3,100, just below it, pushing higher towards the 61.8 projection or extension, 161.8 projection at 32.57. That's the next target we are looking at, and we can also see here that the RSI is currently testing the previous peak, and if it takes it out, well, then there's further upside potential for gold. Silver is also pushing higher, and we can see here towards the end of the week it was a little bit weak, but it's pushing higher now again, and I think it will take out the last week's peak there, and I think we'll see a push towards $35, 36 maybe even, but 35 and a quarter, 35 and a half in this region here in the coming days. Copper, on the other hand, is taking a breather. We got a warning. We talked about it last week. We got this shooting star candle there where market pushed higher and then collapsed. So we have a bit of correction going on. How big it will be, hard to say, but we can also see RSI didn't really get all the way up to and above the previous peak. So now we actually have a divergence situation. I think we'll see a correction towards and below 500, but there will of course be still some bits coming in here, so we are not turning totally negative at the moment. At least it looks fairly strong still, but keep an eye on, very volatile. The energy market and WTI didn't get all the way up to the 61.8 retracement at 70.45 and the minus resistance before maybe turning sour. Still negative sentiment on the RSI. It didn't close above 60 threshold, so could turn around if it takes out 68.40. Then I think we'll see downtrend to resume. Brent crude oil, quite key here. Almost touched the 74.25 resistance. The 100 moving average kind of putting a lid on it and giving it a hard time there. I think we will actually see a retracement down to around $72 on the Brent crude oil. But if it does close above 74.25, then I think we could push higher, because then I also think the RSI will go into bullish sentiment or positive sentiment. European Dutch TTF gas is still sideways above 40 euros, which is key. The US nat gas has bounced strongly towards the end of last week, following and keep pushing this morning, opening higher above 420 at the moment, and could push higher here towards 450 level, 445 here versus the 61.8 retracement. Could see that coming here in the coming days and weeks. But if it suddenly turns around and takes out the 370, well, then downtrend has resumed and we are looking at lower levels on US nat gas. Moving on to yields, and the US 10-year yields that got rejected here at 440 on the 27th. That was a key resistance, and now we can see the 55 moving average is very close to pushing below, breaking below the 100, and they are now both declining. Actually, you see that the 100 has now slightly turned lower here the past few days, or towards the end of last week. And give it a day or two, then I think we'll see a cross below, and then it will meaning that there are lower levels ahead for the US 10-year Treasury yields, which is quite interesting given that the development we have seen lately. So on the weekly, we can see here, if it takes out the lows there at 410, well, then we are looking at 4%. The 2-year Treasury yield is very close to testing the 384 lows here from earlier in March. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at levels in the region around 370, 365. On the European yields, and let's get to it, we saw the Euro 10-year being sent lower towards the end of the week, last week, and and is currently testing the support here at 265 and this gap area here. And if it starts moving into this region, well, then we're looking at 258, where we have the 61.8 retracement and the 55 moving average coming up, giving some support. The UK 10-year touched the 480 which was the 786 retracement of this downtrend here, and then it formed a bit of a double top. We can see maybe a double top, but also a top and reversal pattern, and I think we could see it sliding lower here at 465. There will be some support, and also the lower rising trend line, so keep an eye on that one. Crypto and Bitcoin. Bitcoin got sold off last week and is currently testing the 61.8 retracement of this bounce here at 81,234. If it takes out that level 81,230, then we are looking at 79,176, possibly also testing these previous lows there. Ethereum already testing the lows here at 1755 and could push lower. If it takes out that, then we're looking at 1500. All right, that's all for today. A bit long one, but a lot of things has happened on the market. The Mag 7 are really heavy all across the board. Semiconductors are not doing good, and it looks quite heavy in general. I think we'll in general see lower stock markets in the coming days and weeks. Thank you very much. Talk to you again later.